found one desk, make your way to Zulu Desk Careers. Even before we go into the detail of the conversation, just type Zulu Desk Careers on that phone you're holding. You'll find them. I'm sure you'll follow the prompt somewhat. Drop your CV on that platform. Someone will reach out to you. You will find that job you're looking for because there's more jobs available than there are people to fill them. I'd like to think I can say that.
And that's exactly the case, sir.
Right. But today we're going to be focusing on AI in business. I mean, we've talked about it severally. I remember here on the show, in the last quarter of last year, we even looked at proprietary information. We looked at all of these things that we're posting on TikTok, and we're not looking at the copyright issues.
Yeah.
Sarah was on the show. Sarah, good afternoon to you. Noko, if you're listening. Maybe we'll bring her back on the show at some point. But today we'll focus on AI in business. People are advertising their stuff a lot on TikTok these days. One thing I have found that Ghanaians are doing, which I'm pleased about, is we're learning to monetize our presence on social media. And I think that's a great thing. But you have obliged us some slides. For those who are listening, those of us who like to make notes, Alfred has obliged us some slides. We're streaming live on YouTube, on X, and also on Facebook. If you're able to, please follow us and then follow the slides as well. And you can make some notes for yourself. At some point in this conversation, we will get interactive and you can pick up the phone and be a part of this conversation or send us your messages. But otherwise, Alfred, talk to us.
Thank you so much again. I think for me, the topic that we're discussing today, particularly interesting to me because, everything that I have done in Ghana that I am known for is not what actually feeds me. So I'm glad everything that I'm known for is not what feeds me. So right. I'm known for maybe Zulu Desk Careers, helping people to find work. But in terms of building websites, building AI-driven solutions, that's what I actually do on the day-to-day, and that's what actually feeds me. So I'm so happy that for once I've actually had the opportunity to talk about what I do.
The thing that puts food on the table.
Exactly. This is what puts food on the table. So a couple of months ago, this was last year, I had a conversation with a lovely gentleman called Richard Anim. He is the founder of Coral Reef Innovations.
Oh, I've met
He
Richard.
says hi. He
Richard
told me
has been here on the show.
I told him that I was on the show. And he said I should say hi to you.
Yeah, Richard, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, so Richard and his company, they build AI smart labs all around the country for people. And he calls me up one day and he says, Alfie, we do so much work with AI and but we don't have any AI actually built into our systems that we're using in our company. And I find it very, very,
charity is not starting at home.
Exactly. And he had seen the work that I do on Zulu Desk Careers and how within Zulu Desk Careers I was using the AI to kind of help and guide people improve their CVs and kind of help them match them to the right jobs. And he was like, what can you do, for my company? And what I did was typically when someone comes to someone and says, oh, I need to understand how AI can help, my company, the first thing they would do is probably go straight to, go to ChatGPT, go and find tools or, just go and do a search. And a lot of people think that this whole AI thing we're talking about is all about ChatGPT or Anthropic or, but it's way, way more than that.
Even the other AI platforms have sort of become subliminal.
Absolutely. And the thing, what I did for Richard is what I want to use as a case study for today so that people will understand that implementing and applying AI to your business should be something you do very intentionally and you're deliberate about. So when Richard reached out to me, I did not jump to the conclusion and suddenly make assumptions on what type of AI they needed or, what sort of automations and workflows that they had. The first thing we did was we did an audit of his entire business, his operational process, because a lot of companies in Ghana, if you want to integrate AI into your business, the first lesson you need to learn is what do your workflows actually look like? How are you doing things at the moment? What are your pain points? So the first thing I did for Richard and his team was we did an audit for their entire business, an operational audit, and we looked at all their processes, we looked at all their procedures, and the way we actually went about the audit was even more interesting because we used AI to audit the business on AI. We built a tool that had a chat with Richard's team, right? And every department was able to give us feedback. The AI put all that feedback together and generated a report on all their pain points. Now, let me tell you why we needed an AI tool. This is an example of how you can use AI. Imagine you've been asked to do an AI audit of a company or an audit of a company, and you have to. This company has over 300 employees, and you want to speak to everybody. You want everybody's input. You want to understand, but you don't have time. Classic thing. What we did with Richard's team is, after building the tool, we invited the employees of the company to come on board, have a chat with the AI, and then the AI gave us the feedback. So what was actually happening is, instead of us going to each employee one by one to go and talk to them, we had the employee have the AI have the conversations, and we take the data, saving us time on a process that could have taken months. It took us weeks, because we're able to collect the data in a very, very smart, efficient way. And it's so interesting, when the people were chatting with the AI, the conversations that they had, we logged everything. So all their pain points became crystal clear. So the AI could tell me that one of the things that Richard's team really wanted to do away with was weekly reporting. They absolutely hated it. They didn't like the time it took for them to look through all their, documentation to provide some sort of weekly reports. And those are the type of insights that AI can give you when you are trying to integrate it into your business. But the key thing is, you don't jump into it. It should be a carefully orchestrated, deliberate process of getting the information, and first of all, understanding your internal process. Once you understand your internal process, it's easy for someone like me to come in and say, okay, listen, this particular workflow or that particular process is broken, or it can be enhanced, and this is one of the tools that we can use to enhance it. Do you have any questions on that area?
A lot. I've written them down, but I'm going to hold my questions because I want us to keep
talking. Good. So let me carry on. I'm very mindful that I don't carry on too much, because I get very, very excited.
We want to get everything out of you, and then the questions will come later.
Okay. So imagine we've audited the entire company, and we realize that, wow, operationally, this company needs so much. It's a brilliant company, don't get me wrong, but Richard was not bringing in AI to solve problems. It was more of to enhance what they were already doing. And this brings me to my next point. AI, a lot of people talk about AI replacing people and replacing jobs, okay? But this is not how it's going to happen. What's actually going to happen is, before it even gets to that level, AI is going to enhance our ability. So if you're talking to someone, or if you're working with someone who uses AI, or someone who has a specific skill, like a developer, for example, a web developer is now 10 times better. One using AI is 10 times better than the other not using AI. So the first thing that AI will do for us as individuals is make us better at what we do. Okay, so for example, right now, even if you decided that you wanted to build a website today, there are tools and platforms online that you could easily use to build a website, right? And some of them are AI driven. You can just literally write a prompt and it will build the website for you. However, you put that tool in a web developer's hand, it is 10 times more effective than putting it in your hand, in a complete novice's hand. And that's what I'm talking about.
Because you know the right questions to ask.
You know the right questions. You know the right questions to ask. Exactly, Richard. So that's what we did for Richard's team. We looked at the whole organization holistically. We looked at where there were gaps, and then we came up with a complete solution, which did not just solve their operational pain points, but it integrated AI into the heart of what they do. And that product is what we called blackwidow.pro. So I know the name sounds a bit daunting, and people are shaking their heads and scratching.
I was going to ask that Black Widow.
What is Black Widow, and why?
Widow.
Black Widow is exactly what it is. So my company, Anansium, is built around Anansi. The whole concept of Anansi, the folk story, yeah. Anansi is wise.
I can hear it in my mind. So I say, what was Anansi? Anansi is Anansi.
Yes, Anansi. Anansium. So Anansi is wise, intelligent. That brings in the AI aspect of what we do. And then web. as in Anansi, the web, the spider.
Yeah.
So we are internet, we are AI, we are intelligent. That's why I call the company Anansium. So all the products that Anansium builds have spider names. So, for example, Black Widow is a type of spider. It's a lethal, very intelligent though, but a lethal. You don't want to get bitten by.
Why not tarantula or something? Or...
It's coming. Maybe when I build one for your company, we'll call it tarantula. But yeah, that's the whole concept.
Right,
So that's what came. That's how we came up with Black Widow. So Black Widow became and is an AI that integrates at a very, very deep level with your company. Has a complete dashboard. If you go to blackwidow.pro, you can have a look at it over there. It's live. The key thing is this. So Black Widow, not just it's a proactive AI, okay, and it understands your company at a policy level. So for example, imagine Richard had a challenge. I'm not saying they had this challenge, but I'm saying imagine one of the challenges they faced was new staff onboarding. Okay, Black Widow ingests all your company standard operating procedures, your policies, everything, and it knows your company and it knows who it is chatting with in terms of their role in the organization, their hierarchy, whether they're senior manager, their access levels. So if you joined a company which uses Black Widow, you just have to ask the AI, what is our policy for X? And it will tell you, or it will point you in the right direction. It knows what your company's policies are, and it is the custodian of your company policy and your procedures. So your SOPs are not driven by another department. Your SOPs are driven by the AI because it...
Yeah. But let me just ask this quickly. What would you say significantly is the difference between an interactive AI like Black Widow and the enterprise systems we had about 10 years ago, where you would have like an HR system that everyone can go to, like a portal,
Great question.
manages everything you do and all of that. I know the first thing you say is that this one talks back to you.
No, this is more.
But otherwise, how else is it?
This is more than that. So chatbots have existed for years. Okay, let's not beat around the bush here. Chatbots have been available for years, but what's different about this is it is built around your company and your company documentation. Those other AI platforms that we used to use in the past, they are not intelligent. As in, you can't go to SAP and ask it to tell you about what are my business's top 5 priorities for this year. How many people have completed work on X project? How are we getting along on this project? What are our deliverables on this? Do you get it? You can ask specific questions of the AI. And I took it to another level with Black Widow and similar AI platforms. It executes commands. What do I mean by it executes? So imagine right now you want to book time off, or there's a petty cash request. Let me make it even more, practical. Okay, somebody needs petty cash for whatever reason, or maybe they have an expense claim. They stayed in a hotel overnight and they want to claim back their expenses. Traditionally, you'd probably go to some portal, go and download some form, fill it out, send it as an attachment to the relevant departments, hope for the best, if you've covered everything, and likely you get your expenses, paid. But what Black Widow does is when you have a chat with it, because it understands what your company expense policy is, even before it sends the policy to the policy approver, your request to the policy approver, it has already evaluated and told you that, listen, this 200 cedis expense for wine should not be on your list because it's against the company policy. Do you want me to remove it? Do you get it?
I see what you mean.
So it understands the policy. It helps you apply it in your workflow, and it will take action for you. So when you have a chat with it and it's happy, it will present a form for you within the chat and send it to the approving manager for approval without you having to go to open another context window like an email, go and copy and paste and attach and send. Everything happens in the same thing.
It sounds
in the same window.
It sounds like something I saw in a movie, but I'm impressed that we're doing it here in Ghana and as a Ghanaian who's doing it, because it just means we're going to great lengths to make our business processes better. I'm looking at how practical this will be for our systems. And so this becomes a question of change management. In your experience, I know Richard is savvy. Richard is not a very good example. Richard, please forgive me.
He's way ahead.
Richard is ahead of his generation. I mean, he understands these things. But how do you anticipate that assimilation of something this advanced would assimilate into a process as we have it now, as stereotype as it is? It's not changing as fast for want of change. It's because that's how it's been made to work. And there are accountabilities that are built in. And so trust needs to be built to the owners of the system that this same accountability can exist in the space where you're taking it before it moves. So I'm looking at this for corporates across. Let's even talk about financial sector. Let's talk about insurance. Let's talk about hospitals, for example. Hospitals, by the way, are now moving all of their stuff onto, and that's impressive.
Yeah.
I know we're eventually going to get there, but how is the integration as you see it from where you sit? How easy will that process be?
It's not going to be easy, but you know what? Ghana has challenges with corporate governance, okay? And when I say challenges with corporate governance, I'm talking about, I've worked recently with a Ghanaian company, and honestly, when it comes to managing their internal processes and basic things like, for example, HR capability hearings, OKRs and KPIs and all those things, the challenges some Ghanaian companies have is that they cannot measure performance. And if you cannot measure performance, it doesn't exist. And because you can't measure the performance because the manager never even puts in a KPI at the beginning of the conversation with the employee. Okay, how does AI solve this problem? If you are using a system like Black Widow to run your operations, because Black Widow is aware that in your company policy, you are supposed to have a weekly review meeting with an employee or someone in the organizational structure who falls under you, what it will do is when it's getting to the time for you to have that weekly review meeting, it will remind you that, hey, Alfred, you have a one-to-one meeting with Yaw scheduled for today. Will you be able to make it, or it's overdue, or this is the action that you need to take? And it will remind you, it will keep track of the conversation and make sure that the basics around corporate governance, operations, finance, HR, all those things are taken care of because we waste a lot of energy. See, AI is not going to put money in our pocket like the way people think is going to. You're going to have a chat with an AI, you're going to send it off into the world, and it's going to shop for you or find some magical. No, that's not how it's going to put money into our pocket. First of all, it's going to improve our efficiencies and how we operate our businesses. Okay, so how efficient is your operational workflow? How efficient are your managers at managing performance? Right? So by improving those things even marginally over a large organization, it can have a huge impact on the bottom line when you realize that all of a sudden managers who couldn't put together KPIs for their teams to manage their performance, they are being guided to do these things, and they don't even have to think about what to put in the KPI because the AI already knows what the person is working on, and it can suggest, it can suggest to you, listen, this individual in your team has worked on XYZ projects. I think these are the KPIs we should measure them on. Would you like me to approve, or would you like me to put this in the progress review document? It does it. Meeting had, enter your information, it saves it, and there's a history of all the conversations you've had. You don't need to switch context to some other bamboo HR system. You don't need to go to some spreadsheet where you are recording something. You don't have to hide it in some notebook somewhere. It's transparent. It's easy. It's managed by an entity. I'm using the word entity very cautiously, that understands your business DNA. Right. And I think once businesses understand that these are the benefits that AI could potentially bring, it will work and it will gradually seep into what we do. But the approach we have to take is we have to be very, very deliberate about integrating AIs into our organizations, because if you don't integrate them properly, it causes problems. It could end up actually costing you more.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out, exactly. So the AI relies heavily on the data that you put into the system. As you put more data into it, as you upload more files, have more conversations, have more projects, it becomes more and more intelligent, and it understands your business probably better than you.
You talked about efficiency. You talked about the system being better in terms of output, in terms of delivery, and all of that. I do understand that there has to be a hand-holding process or an overlay at some point, which we refer to as machine learning. And so obviously you need to teach whichever AI you're using to understand things the way the company thinks, its thought process, its vision, its mission, not just the words of it, but in its operation over a year, over 2 years, how it deals with different sets of experiences to form its impetus. Once that process is completed, first of all, how do you think that process will fare in an economy like Ghana, looking at our corporates right down to our SMEs? And I mean, that's the next question I'm going to ask. The second part of the question is that how will businesses, which are small and medium scale enterprises, buy into these things? People are buying a lot of these accounting softwares and all of that, but I think that's where it ends, stock and inventory softwares and all of that. So I know my stock, I know my money coming to me and all of that. But from listening to you, we could move it a step further and begin to make some of the management decisions that affect what trends, what are people buying the most, where should my money be going, where did this investment go in terms of products bought more, which ones are they, all of that. We could move it there. Talk to me about machine learning, that process, and how we can also extend this service to our SMEs as well.
Okay. Yeah. So again, I'm going to speak from the context of Black Widow Pro, which is the product that we have at hand. It doesn't. So your company, if using a platform like that, is not necessarily required to do the machine learning. And I put this in quotes, okay? Because by the time you gain access to a large language model like ChatGPT, it's already gone through a learning process and has some basic information already and a basic knowledge of the world. When we build platforms like Black Widow on top of these systems, what we do is we give these systems access to your company as a knowledge base. Do you get it? So it's not necessarily learning from your company as much as it is drawing inferences from the records that you're keeping, the processes that you're following, your standard operating procedures, and your policies. So I wanted to make that clear that it's not necessarily learning, it's actually ingesting the information, providing guidance and inferences based on what you are using it for in your use case. Now, because it works like that, smaller companies, SMEs, and businesses that traditionally would have thought that going into using AI is a complex process where you have to train a machine learning model, you have to go and hire some AI scientists to come and do, those things are being handled by Google and Facebook and Meta. Don't dabble in that. What matters to us right now is your ability to use those models, present them with information about your business and about your processes that they can use to draw inferences and show you where your inefficiencies are and how you can grow and build a more productive business. And that is something that can work for all SMEs at every level. You spoke about inventory management. A couple of months ago, I worked with a company, and what we did was we were able to build an inventory management system. Imagine right now you have a warehouse, for example, and you're trying to upload stock, thousands of products, plenty different names, and this information is being keyed into a database by a human being who's going to make typos. They're going to misspell things. They're going to get the quantities wrong. Imagine you could point a camera. Today, you can point a camera at an item, and the AI will recognize what the item is and put it directly into the database for you without any typos, without any spelling mistakes, and it can even count the quantity. So there's no human bias over here.
I mean, I've been to shops where they pick a particular item in a category, let's say milk, in the category of milk products, and the scanner can identify which variation of milk it is.
Thank you. So you can build an AI scanner. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You can use these. One of the practical applications is if you have a shop in Accra today, you could literally build a simple AI integration using ChatGPT where you could literally point your phone at all the items on your shop or on your shelf and put it in a database automatically in a spreadsheet just by it looking at those. You don't even have to know what the things are called. All you need to do is enter the price, the prices. So these are some of the practical applications of AI beyond the big machine learning. No, they've done all of that machine learning. The practical uses are being able to point it at items on your shop floor, fill out your database, knowing that your data is accurate, there are no misspellings, there are no overcounting or undercounting, all that is taken care of.
Somebody said to me when I was coming on this, it says, yeah, this AI conversation, it's going to teach humanity discipline. I want you to hold on to that thought for me when we come back.